This is J. Krishnamurti's second public discussion in Ojai, California, 1976.
I believe we're going to have a dialogue this morning, a conversation between two friends about a serious subject. And if we could, this morning take one subject, one problem or one issue and go into it thoroughly. Perhaps that would be worthwhile. So, what shall we talk over together seriously and see how far we can go into it deeply, not theoretically, not in abstraction, but an issue or problems that we have to face psychologically every day. So would you, what subject or what issue can we take that will, by pursuing it step by step, cover the whole field of existence?
Sir?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry to begin the question by asking you about violence. I had it for over a year. I have never been able to ask it to you. I thought I would clarify to myself, but until now it is not really clear to me. And the question is very simple. If the physical survival of a man or a whole community, not the psychological survival, the physical, if it is deliberately threatened with annihilation by the force of arms of another party, the physical survival is deliberately threatened with annihilation by the force of arms of another party, what then is the right action? This pertains to the Middle East.
Yes, sir.
I would like to talk about what why thought is this. Why thought,
Why thought?
persists so endlessly.
Why thought persists, continues, is that it?
What is the relationship between feeling and action?
What is the relationship between feeling and action? And the other question was, what is a community or a group of people or a nation to do when a stronger nation uses arms and violence to suppress it? Yes, please.
Is there any way to avoid conditioning? And in relation to this question, how does it relate to the school that is being started here?
Is there any way of not conditioning a child? Yes, sir.
Sir, could we talk about education, especially the education of the young child?
Could we talk about the education of the young child?
If there is the possibility of relationship between a man and a woman in the transformed state, and specifically if desire and the interference of the mind wasn't operating, would there be sexuality?
What if I couldn't quite catch the whole question? Could you make it briefly?
Yes. Without the interference of thought or desire, would there be sexuality between people living in the transformed state, living together alike?
Have you somebody heard it?
Sir, she wants to know, is there a possibility of a relationship between a man and a woman in freedom? And if they are both free, then is there any sexuality?
Without desire operating or the
Yes, yes.
interference of the mind. Thank you.
resistance towards fear. Resisting fear.
Resisting fear. Now that's enough. Basta. Yes, sir.
The unimpaired expression of one's love and understanding towards all living things.
Can one?
No, I want to know the unimpaired expression of love and understanding with life, with other mankind, what you are doing, to be wholly absorbed into it, to be one with it, and not apart.
What is the question, sir?
That's what is important to me, is to be the wholeness of love and understanding, unimpaired, to express the vitality of it without the duality of subject-object.
Have you understood the question?
It's not a question. He wants to know, I think. He didn't exactly answer the question. He said that what is important to him is a feeling of love without the duality of subject and object. I don't quite know what the question was.
A statement was made, which is that he feels that love and compassion should exist in life, and how to express it in action. Now that's enough. Now, which is if you think, is the most important question in all these questions?
Action in life. Fear.
Huh?
Action in life.
Action in life.
What is the correct action in life?
What is the correct action in life? Could we take that and into that question put all the other questions in, including one nation oppressing another nation, supporting one nation with arms against another nation weaker, and all the questions of love and affection, and how to resist fear. Though we talked a great deal about fear, it's not a question of resisting it and so on. Can we go into that? Taking that one question, what is the correct action in life? Right? Would you like to begin with that and include all the others? May we? The word correct means accurate. Right. When we use the word correct, the meaning of that word, the root meaning of that word also implies accurate, right, meticulous action in life. And what is the right action from that? Right? What do we mean by action? Let us stick to this one thing. It will include everything if we go into this really earnestly and seriously. What do we mean by action? You know, this has been one of the great problems of life. The religious people have said right action is to have a highest principle and act according to that principle. The Indians call it Brahman, and the Buddhists and so on. Various religions have said right action must conform both morally, spiritually, in every direction, according to the principle of the highest thing. And in the modern world, what do we mean by action? To act, to do. Is action in the active present, please listen to this, is action in the active present, Or is it an action dependent on the past according to the future? Or is action based on the past ideas, conclusions, knowledge? You understand? The word act means to do now. That is the word, the significance of that word is to act now. Now, what do we mean by action in our daily life? Is it based on a principle, on an ideal, on a conclusion? The Arab and the Jew, the Hindu, Muslim, on the conditioning of the human mind, according to culture, tradition, and so on. And is action based on a past memory, experience, knowledge. So what do we mean by action? Which means, what is your action in daily life based on? What is the motive? What is the purpose? What is the intention? What is the background of action? Is it based on self-centered activity? Please, this is a very, very serious question, because we're going to find out if there is an action which is not mechanical. We'll go into that, but first we must be very clear for ourselves, what do we mean by action? Coming here to the meeting is an action. Thinking is an action. Going to the kitchen and washing dishes is an action. Digging in the garden and so on, going to the factory, going office. What do we mean by action? Is action fragmented? The action of the artist, the action of the poet, the action of the engineer, the action of man or woman in relationship. Those are all fragmented actions, aren't they? Right? Please, come with, move. So, you may go to the office and there be ambitious, envious, play all kinds of tricks, and come back home and be very affectionate. Both are activities. And they are self-contradictory. So it's fragmentary and therefore conflicting. I say one thing and do another. Think something and put into totally different meaning, into words. All that is action. The action that's going on, killing baby seals, wiping out the whales. Lovely civilization you have. Forming a community, commune, fighting with each other, wars, everything is action. So what do we mean by correct action? Knowing what the world is, how it is fragmented, the Arab, the Jew, the Muslim, the Hindu, you follow, the Catholic, the Protestant, the Communist, the Socialist, and so on, so on, so on. First of all, do we see or aware what is actually going on in the world? Or have we shut our eyes and live in a small world of our own desires, our own pleasures, our own activity, and say, what is right action in there? Do you follow? So what do we mean by correct action? Can there be correct action if that action is based on an ideal? Let's take that for example. Can there be correct action according to an ideal? What is an ideal? Please go on. This is a dialogue. You say an ideal. What is that? What do you mean? You have ideals, haven't you? Conclusions, haven't you?
Something that should be.
What should be? All right. What should be? From what is? Right? What is and what should be. That's a fragmented action, isn't it? Why do human beings have ideals at all? What should be?
I think that ideals are a memory of an orderly action according to an order, whether it be...
Which is what should be.
In a sense, however, there are ideals as a memory of the order of the universe.
No, sir. Look, please, let's be simple. Let's bring in the universe. Let's begin slowly. I am angry. One is angry. The should be is not to be angry. One is not brotherly, but one should be brotherly. Right? So why do we have this should be?
To postpone change.
Look, if I may suggest most as a friend, look into yourself and find out why you have a should be.
You don't like what is. It's because you're not the real thing.
No.
Because one doesn't know what to do with what is going on in himself.
That is, what are you saying? You do not know what to do with what is. Is that it? Please, give a little, you understand?
We are avoiding looking at what is.
Beg pardon?
We are avoiding looking at what is.
Therefore, look, one avoids what is because one doesn't know how to deal with what is. If you knew how to alter the what is, you wouldn't go to what should be, would you? Please, it's the dialogue.
A lot of what is that I'll never be able to change, though. I mean, I don't kill baby seals, but people do, and I can't change that. What can I do?
What?
So she doesn't kill baby seals, but she wants
I got you.
She says she is resigned to not being able to change certain things.
So, you are resigned, you accept.
I don't.
You don't accept.
I don't accept it, but I'm upset. Things happen that I can't change.
I'm not talking of changing something out there, changing yourself. We are asking what is correct action in daily life. That was the question he raised. And we said, what is action? I can't go back if you don't pay attention to it. Let's go on. we say our action is based on, one of our activities based on what should be, right? I'm asking you why you have invented why there should be.
Because we are fragmented.
Beg pardon?
Because we are fragmented.
We are
Because that's not enough.
We have certain ideas on how we think things should be handled.
Sir,
Because I feel insecure.
I don't remember ever inventing this. I am this. I don't.
How does it come about? Why do human beings have this should be?
Satisfied with what is.
Fear of what is.
We cannot accept and understand life in the moment, in this moment, now. Because we are educated to conform to society that can be compromising. It's a plan for progress because it's hard to be something else.
So, are we answering this question theoretically or observing ourselves and finding out why you have an ideal, why you have a should be, which is in the future? Why?
It seems.
Wait a minute. What's up? I can't hear. You must speak very much louder.
Because we think we can achieve some desirable goal that we
Yes, there should. We're all saying the same thing, sir. There should be the goal, the purpose, the end, and so on. I'm asking you, please consider this. Don't move away from it. I'm asking you why you have such an ideal.
Most people feel that they will receive some reward in the end if they were to conform to what we think is correct action, as opposed to conform to what may be considered incorrect action, where you will be punished. And I think that has a lot to do with it when you feel that you're going to receive a reward from what you consider correct
I understand
action.
that, sir. I understand that, but we're saying apparently we don't.
It
So,
seems.
have you got an ideal or not?
Yes. It's.
Be simple. Huh? Why?
Because we want the psychological time.
Whenever I feel that things should be other than they are, it is because I have been taught that I am not what I should be, that I am in some way not adequate, not up to
I understand all that, madam. So you are saying out of inadequacy, out of insufficiency, out of not being able to solve the problem as is, we have an ideal as a means of either escape or as a means of transforming the what is into what should be. So I'm asking you, you're the most extraordinary crowd.
Because it affirms us.
Huh?
Because it affirms us.
Affirms us, he says. It affirms us.
Affirm what?
It makes us feel more important to have an idea.
So that we can be something.
Because we're not able to impartially observe ourselves.
We're not living in the here and now.
We don't like what's happening in the world. We don't like violence or depression or unhappiness or suffering. And the world is suffering. And there is conflict and wars and wrongdoings all around it. And we believe that doesn't have to be. That we have all the ingredients in the world right here, right now to change the world. If a group of people get together and decide that it can be done.
I have an ideal because if I don't have an ideal, then I won't be anything. Then I would be nothing. I would be
So
empty. So
you have an ideal because without an ideal you would be nothing. Right? How is that ideal put together?
Thought generates a picture of the good in some way.
So look, please, let's be simple about this. The gentleman asked the first question, what is the correct action in daily life? What should one do to act correctly, accurately, rightly, in a world that's so utterly confused, in a world of conflict, a world of violence, in a world in which relationship is so fragile? What is the right thing to do?
Pay attention. Listen to each other.
Change ourselves.
Still.
Should be is a form of escape. Right? No?
You should know whether you are escaping from what is. You should know. Unless one is totally neurotic, you wouldn't know how to even to find out what is correct action. But not being wholly neurotic, we are investigating that problem. What is the right action in human relationship? What is the right action with regard to society? What is the right action when there is conflict, violence, and so on and on and on? What is the right thing to do? Isn't it a problem to you?
Yes.
Huh? How do you set about finding what is right action? Would you accept authority in saying this is right action, obey this?
Quite the opposite.
Will you? Please look at it.
I would sometimes, yes.
So you accept authority.
Yes, not justifying that, but that is true.
So you would accept authority to find out what is right action. So you are not free to find out. You have already established in your mind that there must be authority who will tell us what is right action. What happens then? Please follow that one particular issue. If you accept authority and say, authority will tell us what to do, what is the correct action, what is the result of that?
The authority becomes important rather than the
You look
actuality.
at it.
Become dependent. You don't accept the fact that you already know, and that you can look within yourself and answer those things.
If you follow the sanction of a society, the sanction of a church, the sanction of a guru, what happens to your mind? There is no freedom, is there? And mustn't you have freedom to find out what is correct action? God save. So when you accept another as an authority to tell you what to do or what is the right action, you are denying right action. Ideal is your authority. Right? And that authority is created by an attitude of mind which says the present, the what is, I'm not able to solve, or I don't know what to do with it, I want to run away from it. And you project the opposite of what is. This should be is the opposite of what is. Right? So you have conflict. Out of that conflict, can there be right action? You're following all this? So what is a man to do, or a woman, who wants to find out what is correct, accurate, right action in life? Have you thought, have you ever given your life to find out, or even 10 minutes to find out what is right action? No, I'm afraid you're not.
You say that all ideals are authority.
All ideals are what?
You say that an ideal is essentially the same process of authority in the sense that it imposes upon the
No, I did not say that, sir. What I said was, if you make an ideal as the authority, then there is a contradiction in your life. It's the opposite of what is, isn't it? And therefore there is conflict in that. And where there is conflict, how can you find out what is right action? So, I want to find out, as a human being, living in this world, with this almost insane world, what is right action? I say, is one's action based on the past? Past memories, past experiences, knowledge. This is a very important question. Go into it, please, with me for a while. If one's action is based on the past, then I am living in the past. Living in the past, one meets the present and modifies the present and creates a future. Right? One lives according to a principle, established either through pleasure, or through compulsion, or through environmental influence, or through ignorance. One projects from the past a principle, which is what should be. And one tries to live according to what should be. Right? This is what is happening in our daily life. I must not be angry. I must be this. I must not do that. I wish it didn't happen that way. So we are always living in the past, meeting the present, and modifying the present, and that we call action. Right? And in that process, action is never complete. Right? Are we meeting each other? At least this one thing. one has had an experience, and that experience, either pleasurable or dangerous or distasteful, and according to that experience, one tries to live. And meets the present, doesn't understand the present, becomes confused in the present, and creates a future confusion. Right? Do we see this in our life? Right? May we go on from there? We are trying to find out what is correct, right, accurate action. Accurate means care, attention. Otherwise you cannot be accurate. Right? If you want to measure something, you must pay tremendous attention to it. Right? Otherwise you will not measure correctly. So, to act correctly, you must give to action great attention. Right? But you cannot give great attention to action if there is an idea which is established in the future. Or you are, say, I have a measure of my own and I'm going to measure accurately something else. So, to find out correct action, right action, accurate action, there must be care. Right? Is that clear? Please, this is a dialogue. Care. Do you care? Care. Love. Committed to find out what is right action, or is it just theory? Care. You care as the mother cares for the little baby, you understand? Wakes up in the middle of the night and spends day after day after month caring. Do you so infinitely care to find out what is right action? You understand, sir? We know a man, he was a high judge, supreme, one of the great courts. One morning he woke up and he said, I'm passing judgment on people and I don't know what right judgment is. I know according to legality, I know what it means to passing judgment. But what is right, true judgment? You understand? So he called his family. This is an accurate story because I saw him. I'm not exaggerating. This is what happened. He called his family. He said, I'm going to find out what is right judgment, what is the truth in judgment. So he said, I must give up everything, give up my position, my money and family. This is to me tremendously important in life because I'm a judge. He gave up everything. And for 25 years, lived by himself, and try to find out what is right judgment. And somebody brought him to one of the talks the speaker was giving, and he came to see us the next day, and he said, "You're quite right. Because what I have been doing is mesmerizing myself, thinking I have found the right action. Because I never started right from the beginning to be free from tradition. You understand? To be free from any possibility of deception. There must be no illusion in my inquiry. You follow? An illusion exists when there is a desire to arrive at the right decision. You don't understand. So, to find out what is correct action, you must care infinitely. If you do, then you and I can have a dialogue. But if you say, well, just, throw any old idea into the basket and pick something out of it thinking that's right action, I'm afraid we shan't meet each other. But if you are really concerned, then we can look at it. To start with, there must be freedom of inquiry, to inquire. No prejudice, no conclusion. Can you do that? Otherwise you can't inquire. Or find, through that inquiry, what is right action. That's simple, isn't it? But extremely difficult to do, because you don't want to give up your prejudices, your conclusions, your ideals. So there must be freedom not only to inquire into what is correct action, there must be freedom to pursue constantly right to the very end till you find the right action. So, to find out there must be care, there must be attention. Right? And so one has to begin by finding out what is action. Everything is action. Getting up, sitting down, walking, looking at the skies, the trees, talking, being miserable, going to the office, quarreling, violence. Everything in human relationship is action. Even in technological world, it is action.
But not my action.
Is your action different from that of another? Yes, sir, you have to inquire. Is my action, of which I am very proud, or I want to find out what is the correct action, is my action different from the action of yours? If my action is based on anger, it's like yours. If my action is based on ambition, it's like yours. Right? If my action is based on envy, it's just like any other. Only I express it in trousers, the other expresses it in knickerbockers or in something else. So there is no my action and your action. There is only action. We can't accept that easily because we think my action must be totally different from your action. because I think I'm an individual. Am I an individual? Well, we talk, as we told the other day, individual means indivisible, not fragmented, not broken up, whole. Such a person is an individual. But most of us are fragmented, broken up, contradictory. So, I want to find out what is action. Action, not right action. I'll come to that presently. What do we mean by action? There are such varieties and multiplications of actions. So, is there an action not contradictory, not fragmented, but whole, which at any level of existence will be whole always? You understand my question? No, come. We know fragmented action, right? Are you clear on that? Right. And fragmented action must lead to conflict, broken up. So I'm asking myself as a human being, I say, is there an action which is whole, complete, not contradictory, not fragmented, not a business action, family action, artistic action, commercial action, technological action, but action as a whole? You've understood my question? So, my inquiry is not only into fragmented action, but observing the fragmented action, both outwardly and inwardly, which is the same movement. One says to oneself, is there an action which is not fragmented? That is, I do something at the office, something totally different at home. You follow? Totally different religiously and morally and so on and so on. Is there an action which is whole? The word whole means healthy. That means physically healthy. Then it also means sane, sanity, not neurotic. Neurotic being based on some belief, conclusion, ideas, reasonable, logic, clear. That means sane. And also whole means holy, Holy, sacred. You follow, that word whole means all that. And one's mind says, I must find an action which is whole. We know what is fragmented action. The action of a Muslim against the Hindu, the Jew against the Arab, violence, and so on. So those are all fragmentary actions. Right, sir? Now, I want to find out if there is an action which is whole. Right? Are you interested in this? Does it mean something to you? For God's sake. Now, how am I to find out? How is one to find out? When your mind is fragmented. You understand? Huh?
Mind is fragmented?
Huh? Would you speak a little louder, please? I can't hear.
When your mind's fragmented, you are? Or when your mind's fragmented, and I didn't understand.
Is your mind not fragmented, or are you saying, is the mind fragmented?
He doesn't understand what your question is.
Huh?
He doesn't understand what your question is.
He doesn't understand my question. Sirs and ladies, you know what fragmented action is, right? Kind, and the next minute, unkind. Generous and not generous. Brutal and occasionally kindly, affectionate. Saying one thing and doing another. The politicians are doing that beautifully. And we are doing it in our daily life also. Those are all fragmented actions. When every religion has said, don't kill, and we have killed everything. And Christians probably have been the greatest killers in the world. You understand? So there is fragmented action. We know that. And the result of all that the dolphins are one of the most intelligent animals in the sea. And they are destroying them. So, and the people who destroy those go home and say, I love you.
Being annoyed is a fragmented action too, isn't it?
Of course, sir. Everything is fragmented. So I'm saying, we know that. Now, what is then an action which is not fragmented?
And the action is the overpopulation of the world. I think this is all over the world. We have one common action. And this is that we are starting to overpopulate the world. And this gives us all the troubles we have to a great extent.
Yes, sir, I know overpopulation. They are doing something at last in India, and it's probably too late. Overpopulation all over the world. There are 5 million now, 5 billion. And in the next another 5 years will be some follow geometrically progressive. That's also action. Fragmented. Now, I want when a human being realizes that this fragmented action and asks, is there an action which is not fragmented? Action without choice. Same thing.
There is the action of examining the fragmented action.
We have done that just now.
Sir, it seems to me that so long as there is action, there has to be someone who is performing the action. And so long as there is someone who is performing the action, there seems to be a center of desires.
Quite right, sir.
And so long as there is a center of desires...
As long as the human mind, human being is fragmented, his actions will be fragmented. That's what you're saying.
But how can one escape that?
I'm coming to that, sir. We're going into it. Not escape from it. We're going to understand and resolve this problem.
Is there an unfragmented action possible?
We're going to find out, sir.
An action based on love is not fragmented.
Action based on love is not fragmented. Is that an idea? Is that a theory? Is that what is? So when you say action based on love is not fragmented, you've already fragmented it.
Impartial observation of what is.
So which is, if we say, look, all that I know is what I call love. In it, there is fragmentation. Is there love in which there is no fragmentation? Follow? Then it is not a theory. I'm inquiring, I'm finding, I'm caring to find out.
The growth of a tree, that's a type of action.
Can
we say it's a fragmented action?
We said the other, so that cannot be answered. Let's get on. Now, I want to find what human being says. There is the actor and the action, right? The actor is the fragmented human being. And whatever he acts must be fragmented, right? Whatever he does. His God, his love, his relationship, his activity, everything he does must be fragmented if the actor himself is fragmented, right? That's simple law. It's a fact. So can there be a human being, you, who is not fragmented, and therefore his action complete, whole? Now we're going to find out. Because we have no ideal in examination, no conclusion, no prejudice. I am what there is, this human being who is fragmented. Is he aware that he's fragmented? Or is just an idea that he's fragmented? You follow the difference? Is he aware in himself that he is fragmented? Or he has been told he is fragmented, which are two different activities, you understand? Now, which is it? Do you know or aware that you are fragmented? Huh? Wait, mate. First, do you know? Are you aware? Conscious, any word you like. If you are, then what will you do with that fragment? How do you look at that fragmentation? Please do pay attention to this. You will find if you pursue this. How do you look at that fragmentation? No, how do you look at it, sir? Don't theorize about it. Do it actually and find out how you look at yourself as a fragmented human being. So you say undesirable. So you are looking at the fragmentation and say it's undesirable. You've already condemned it. Therefore, can you look at your fragmentation without judgment? Huh?
With hope of making it pure.
Without judgment.
Hope. With hope of making it better.
With what?
With hope.
With hope, which is another judgment. Do please give a few minutes attention to this.
Sir, but if one realizes one is fragmented, one can only know if one is fragmented by means of contrast, by having an idea of what being whole or unit is and what is fragmented.
No, sir. Look, don't you know when you're fragmented, when you say one thing and do another?
Isn't fragmentation an ideal?
Huh? Is that not fragmentation? I say one thing and do something else. On a simple basis, start with that, not with heavens. And
be synonymous with inconsistency?
Inconsistency, contradiction, simple words.
What about the resistance to the cawing of the crow that I feel right here, right now? That feels fragmentary inside me. I wish it would go. That feels like it. Is that direct experience?
Sir, I do look at yourself. I'm asking a question. Whether you are aware that you are fragmented human being. Aware, in a sense, watching, looking. That you have got black beard, white hair, purple, whatever it is. Watching. You look. You're tall or short. In the same way, can you look at yourself and see whether there is fragmentation?
But who is looking? Isn't the one who is looking a fragment also?
I'm coming to that, sir. Of course.
Then how do you look at
I'm going to. You are so. If you will kindly have little patience, you will find out. Because one must go into this not very carefully, sir. I said at the beginning, you must care. You must love the thing you're looking at and find out.
If I find that I'm fragmented, don't I have to accept that as what I am and what is right then?
When I see I'm fragmented, I have to accept it, haven't I? Why do you accept it? Just look at it. Then from that arises, are you looking at it? Or rather, how do you look at it? Take trouble, please. How do you look at it? Are you looking at it with a judgment? Are you condemning what you see? Saying, I mustn't be fragmented, how awful. I know it'll lead to all kinds of trouble. Therefore, I mustn't be fragmented. How do you look at your own fragmented activities? With what eyes? With what ears?
Realizing that even if you are fragmented, still you have to act.
And of course, sir, we're coming to that. So, if you are observing with conclusions, with prejudice, with all kinds of reasoned thoughts, then you are still fragmented, aren't you? So can you look, please listen to this, can you look without any condemnatory attitude, rationalize, just look. Then, is there an observer different from the thing he is looking at? If you eliminate condemnation, prejudice, judgment, rationalization, which are all the past activities, you follow? Then, is there an observation in which the observer is not? The observer being condemnation, judgment, prejudice, despair, hope, say, oh, how terrible, all that is the observer's activity. Therefore, it prevents you from looking at what is. This requires sanity, reasoned thinking. So there is only the observation, the thing, not the observer looking. Follow? When you look without the observer, who is the past, who is the judgment and so on, what takes place? Experiment, do it please, don't tell me. When there is no division between the Arab and the Jew, what takes place? What takes place?
Conflict ends.
Huh? Conflict ends. What? Not acceptance. Huh?
There'd be nothing to accept. The conflict would be over.
Yeah, the thing is gone. Huh? You understand? When there is no Muslim and Hindu, communists and socialists, and all the rest of it, outwardly, there's no conflict, is there? And therefore, complete action outwardly. So if...
We have to cease to exist as well, as what we think is an
Now, please, just I'm going to show you, I'm going to look at something on which... You understand, there is now the Catholic, the Protestant, the Baptist, the division all over. Not only in the religious world, in the so-called religious world, but also political world, geographical world, racial world, there is division. That has caused untold misery, right? That has brought appalling destruction. Now, do you see the truth of that? Huh? The truth, not I am a Jew, I must still be a Jew, I'll accept this. Do you see where there is division, there must be conflict? See it, have an insight into it. And therefore, the moment you have an insight into the truth of that, then you are acting wholly, aren't you? Is this clear somewhat?
Sir, any sense of self is divisive, isn't it?
Yes, but I don't want to go to that ultimate fact, that is. Now let's look at it the other way. Thought, we said, is a fragment. Do you see the truth of that? Thought is a fragment. It is not the whole. And thought has divided the world. You are a Christian, I am a heathen. You are godly, and so on. I don't have to keep on repeating this endless rubbish. So, thought being fragmented in itself creates whatever it does, it breaks up. That is a truth. Do you see the truth of it? Right? So is there an action which is not touched by thought? And therefore it will be whole. What is the root of all this contradiction? You understand my question? What is the root in one's life that brings about this contradiction? The me and the not me, we and they, my belief against your belief, my experience against your experience. What is the root of this division? We are still asking, what is the correct action in life? And we say, what is the root of this division?
Seems to be the action of thought itself, the word.
We went into that, so go a little deeper than that. We've said that. Thought itself is a fragment, and therefore whatever it does creates fragmentary activity. Now you say, go a little further. Is there... No, what is the root of all this? Huh? Oh no. The desire for profit, the desire for punishment. To avoid punishment, rather. We are nurtured, our culture is based on these two principles, reward and punishment. Right? No? Do this, you'll go to heaven. Do this, you'll become successful. Do this, you will be the president of the country. If you don't do that, you'll be punished. So, our culture is based on this principle of reward and punishment. That's again fragmentary. But I am asking you, what is the root of all this movement of fragments, breaking up? What is the source of all this? You don't even think it out. First, I'm just asking a question, you're ready to answer. What is the root of all this, sir?
Well, having a motive.
We've been through that. We said as long as you have a motive, a cause, there must be fragmentation. Where there is a cause, there must be effect. Therefore, there is a division. It is not one unitary movement. You understand? Now I'm asking, please listen. I hope you aren't too cold. What is the root of all this?
Egocentricity.
We're trying to escape from what is.
Are you answering this? Please, I'm not being rude or impatient. Are you answering this from your investigation and discovery? Or are you just throwing off some words? We want to know what is the root of all this. The root of this misery, confusion, contradiction, unhappiness, disease.
If there is no action, then
Huh?
If there is no action, then there is no conflict.
If there is no action, then there is no conflict. What? We are saying, sir, life is action. You can't live without action. May I go on asking the same question?
Psychological time.
Have you discovered that? Hello, Kitty, come up here. That's right.
Separation from the moment.
Have you discovered that?
The origin of thought.
Insecure. When one feels insecure,
Go on, sir.
isn't that
Go on, sir, go on.
that's because insecure, afraid?
Are you saying the basic cause is insecurity? And because we have reduced the world and ourselves and everything around us into such a confusion, which breeds such insecurity, and therefore out of that insecurity all fragmentation takes place. Is that what you're saying? Why have we reduced this world like this? What has made us? Why do human beings behave as they do? May I ask this very simple, why do you behave as you behave?
Because that's our action.
Do please listen to this. Why? Why do you support wars? Why do you support all the killing that's going on? Why? No, do please go into, don't answer me.
Because I don't see it going on.
Because I don't see it is going on. You mean say you don't know what's happening? They're killing each other, throwing bombs, terrorists, innocent people being killed by the hundred.
I see it on the surface right now.
But don't you? You mean you see it there, but you don't feel it? Huh? Is that it? Would you feel if if one's son, wife, husband killed? What world this is? Now I'm asking, sir, please, don't be bored by this question, repetitive question, because you're not answering me. Why do human beings behave like this?
Sir, we base our action on thought, and it's always inadequate.
Yes. So what do you do? What are you going to do about it? If you realize that your thought and all action based on thought is inadequate, incomplete, contradictory, causing great misery, what are you going to do about it? Just escape? Run away into some commune where you won't think at all, carry on? What will you do? Huh?
Complementary half.
Big one?
Reunite this half with the other half.
What?
Reunite
That's another idea, isn't it? Are you doing it? No, I'm working on it. Okay. See, that gentleman said a very simple thing.
Believing that we have not been separated, and we are not separated, belief itself.
Clearly, as thought, I can do nothing.
So he said, thought being inadequate, and the inadequacy brings about this confusion, misery, the slaughter of human beings and nature and everything. What are you going to do about it? What will you do as a human being? Join societies that will prevent killing? I give up. You see how we answer?
We have to find out if there is an action that is not based on thought.
So what are we going to do?
To find out.
Find out what?
If there can be
You are not relating to yourself as a human being who is the world. Right, sir? You are the world, and the world is you. We have created this world, haven't we?
We're relating to thoughts instead of relating to our organism.
What?
We're relating to our thoughts instead of relating to our organism. Possibly logically.
So please, if thought is inadequate, and realizing, if I may point out something which is all thought leads to sorrow, then what will you do? Please listen to what I just now said. All thought, because all thought is fragment. All thought leads to sorrow. Then if you see it, what takes place? Huh? Do you leave it? Yes. That means you are no longer. You are only giving thoughts its right place, and therefore psychologically free of all thought. And not logical. Of course it's logical. But does that take place?
You were saying that.
It's logical, sir.
Also?
I feel it logically, even this, I don't know if it took place.
Look, sir, logic goes only so far, right? Logic is necessary. Logic implies clear thinking. Clear thinking. Clear thinking has pointed out thought is inadequate. Thought, being inadequate, can't solve the problems, human problems. So what will you do when you realize that? You, in yourself, you are the total human being. You follow? Of all humanity you are. You are the result of all human suffering, of all human agony, despair, fear, hope. You are that. So you are the world and the world is you. Right? Do you realize it? Do you see the truth of it, the feel of it? Therefore you give up all our you follow? Right. Then you realize that your thinking is inadequate. Then how do you realize it? As a rational process? As a logical conclusion? you realize, you feel it. It is so in you. Then what is next?
That's what I do. There is passion. Action takes place in the inner.
You don't know what is next. You don't have an idea.
What time?
The mind becomes silent, sir.
No, sorry. Look. May I? It's 12:30. We must stop. May I just finish this? Sorry, not to take it away from you, but we must conclude this. If we realize that all thinking is inadequate to solve our problems, not as a logical conclusion, not as an aphorism, but truth, that it is a law, that thought is inadequate. Because thought is fragment, thought is created the world and divided the world. All that seeing, and also realizing that you are the world and the world is you. Fundamentally, basically. Because go where you will, there is suffering, tears, misery, confusion, hunger, misery. You understand? It's the common thing in humanity. So you are the world and the world is you. And when you realize that thought, which is thought of mankind, is inadequate to solve the problem, the human problem of living, existence, relationship, fear, all that, then what happens?
You were saying before, you were asking a gentleman here if when he said that he didn't feel when there was a war or killing in the U.S., what about if your wife or your son was killed?
Yes.
All right. Maybe that if we come to feel the same way about killing anybody, the way we feel about our son or our husband or...
No, madam, that becomes a theory. Please don't...
I don't mean a theory. I mean deep inside that you really feel the same. Could that be possible?
May I finish? I said, let me conclude. How do you realize this truth? Is it an intellectual acceptance of an obvious reasoned fact? A theory that one has proposed and you accept it as a theory? Or do you make from this statement that you are the world and the world is you, and that thought is inadequate, an abstraction of it, an ideal? Or do you live with it? You understand my question? If you live with it, not make an abstraction of it, as an idea of it, that thought is inadequate to solve our human problems, in spite of what the politicians say. If a philosopher says thought is necessary, they have built marvelous schemes, systems. But you are not a philosopher, nor am I. And we're just ordinary human beings. And we realize thought is so inadequate. For God's sake, it's so... What am I to do when it's inadequate? And we say, live with it, hold it, like a jewel, look at it, Don't you tell what it should do. Look at the jewel that you have. It will tell you what to do. You understand what I'm saying? But we are so eager to tell it what to do. You understand? You read a story, a thriller. It's all written there. You don't have to tell it what it should be done. So in the same way, here is a most extraordinary jewel you have, to realize that you are the world and the world is you. And thought is totally, absolutely inadequate to solve our human problems of relationship. To see that and live with it. Every minute of the day. Then you will find the correct action.